Welcome to Top Employers Inspire. 3 days of expertly curated content for you to gain as much value and insights from the world of work. At Top Employers Institute, we want to inspire with purpose. We genuinely want to make a positive impact on the world of work. And to do so, we embrace the purpose by also broadly sharing insights from our certified top employers. Just to name a few, during Top Employers Inspire, you can learn from certified top employers like Nestlé, China, on mentor networks. We have Amgen, how flexibility can reinforce the organizational culture. And we've got Coca-Cola. They will explain how they deliver their personalized employee experience. I would advise to register for multiple sessions because then you gain the most valuable insights and also get the most results. Take out your notebooks, also because you get first-in-line access to the recordings after the sessions. But why we're here is definitely to deliver you the key insights on how a human-centric organization works. With me is Paola, our People Director at Top Employers Institute. Paola, welcome.
Well, thank you.
It's fun to be here in the studio. By the way, we're live from Amsterdam, and throughout Top Employers Inspire, we will be streaming, like I mentioned, to China. This afternoon, we've got Shanghai, and we've got United States. So we'll be connecting all over the world, connecting to our hubs and to our clients and the people from Top Employers Institute. This session, we've got 45 minutes because we need to push to the other session afterwards as well. So we'll use it as much as possible for Paola to share as much as possible, and we'll do our best to allow some time for the Q&A. If we won't make it in time for the Q&A, let's continue the dialogue afterwards. We've got all digital freeways where you can reach out, LinkedIn, email. We'll make sure that we get back to your question. For now, human-centric organizations. Let's shape some context. Obviously, you are the founding mother of the human-centric organization framework for top employers, at least. Take us back into history. Why did you design the human-centric framework?
I think that's quite important to understand also the human-centric way model. We started to understand that we needed to change the way the world worked for us as an employer. When COVID hit us about 2020, we tried a lot of things to get people motivated and engaged. And on the other hand, also we saw a lot of people were overperforming because we were all trying to find our way, all staying at home, only using cameras to connect to each other and to collaborate. The HR team and I really saw an opportunity there, and we said to each other, we have to promise that we will make sure that this opportunity, we won't let it slip out of our hands. Time passed a little bit. Again, we tried a number of things, and at a certain point in time, the leadership team also said, it feels like a time that we need to redesign the way we shape our world of work here within Top Employers. And I work together with some of the brightest minds in our organization, and I'm definitely not the mother, but thank you for the compliment.
Initiative.
Obviously. Yeah, absolutely one of the best roles to have, obviously, as a mother. But for this instance, what we try to do is to figure out what do our employees need to be successful. And we tried what we knew of. So we tried, hey, listen, there must be some persona, some typical employee that we are catering for. Might be the young mother, the millennial, and so on. What type of model, what type of way of working would be fitting? And we figured out that there was not a model fitting for a persona, but we slowly on, while talking to each other and trying to determine what this really was about, we figured out everybody is different and we all need different things, and who are we to decide what you as an individual need? We've got all mature grown-up people, they are all allowed to vote, so they must know themselves what they need to be, what they need to be successful. And that was the core of everything, which was quite daunting, I can say, because we had to let go rather than install controlling systems, models that would dictate you. So.
Yeah. And I understand that the many people, the many behaviors, obviously. So you started modeling the framework. How did you formalize it? How did you mention what it was at the core, how it started? Mm-hmm. How did you formalize the design itself?
To really, strangely, that was done in a really short period of time. When we came to that conclusion, it all fell into place. It all made sense. And throughout the period of time where we had to implement, or first of all explain and repeat, we noticed that the simplicity of this really helped. It resonates with people. People understand. There's not a question that we can't answer with this rather simple model, if you look at it really. The simplicity really supports the complexity of it all, and that's a weird paradox. So mm-hmm. There's room for everything. We'll get into this later, obviously, as well, because it's not about letting go only. There's a lot of things we also have to do to make sure it actually works the way we intend it to work. But yeah, the formalization was actually was quite easy.
I like the paradox, because in all successful formulas there is always a good paradox. So to make the complex, make it simple.
Yeah.
All right. So you found that we're onto something here. Was it successful?
So I was actually quite scared the first time I had to explain it, because we come from a situation where the more classical way of organizing an office, we were organized in, everybody was linked to an office and everybody would go to an office. So letting go really was that opportunity that COVID gave us. With all the bad things that happened throughout that time, I didn't have to prove anymore that people will take their responsibility and will want to perform well. Again, actually, I had to make sure people would also take care of themselves more, rather than to make sure that they were doing what they were supposed to do to get successful results. Another thing we will get back to.
Yeah, is it like I'm aware that it's always difficult to measure success in that way, but why is it working? Let's put it differently, because obviously the audience, they want the pragmatic stuff. They want to make it practical and help me start tomorrow with a human-centric approach.
Yeah.
Yes, you can easily say it's successful. I can confirm. But why is it working?
I think it works, beside the fact of what we already discussed, the paradox between the simplicity and recognizing the complexity of working in relation to the rest of your life as well, is also because people feel that there is trust. So we're not just telling them we base our working relationship on trust. We actually give people trust. So if you look at the model, I don't know if we have time to show a little picture around it. So if you look at the model, it's not just about the freedom to understand what you need to be successful. You're in the middle, you're in the center.
Yeah, maybe you can talk through what we're seeing here just a little bit.
So if you look at the center, it says the you part. It means that you have the freedom to decide what you need to be successful. And as I said, it's not just about the freedom or just about letting go. It is also explaining on what it is that you have as a responsibility to make sure that you do take those actions. So what do you need to be successful is a thought process. You have to think about it. Sometimes it looks easy. I need to be successful. I need to have the headspace to work or to find an office. But sometimes it's also about, I'm worried about how things are going at home. I have a child that needs extra attention because they went to a dentist appointment that didn't go exactly the way you want to, for example. Then you have the freedom, to organize yourself as such. But you also have the responsibility, and that's the second layer, to discuss that with your team. So you have to understand, what do I need to do to make my team successful as well? That means you have to have a conversation, continuous, because if you don't have the right working relationship, if you're not used to collaborating in a mature and fair way, then all of a sudden asking for something because you need something to be successful might not go as smooth. So it's a continuous process. You continuously need to figure out what do you need to be successful and how do I organize the team to be successful. Obviously, the leader of the team manager, will have an extra responsibility to make sure to gather that information, to continuously have mechanisms by design to figure out what the team needs to be successful. You'll see some teams have team members that will start at 7 o'clock in the morning, but prefer to finish at 3 because they want to go for a run. Others will start at 7 but take a break in the middle. Others will prefer to do a couple of hours in the evening. This is not really a very particular situation. You see that in multiple companies. The issue here is that we do it by design, on purpose. So we don't pretend not to be or to be available when we are not. We can openly discuss these things. Actually, we embrace it and we support each other in making those decisions. The last layer is the company. As a total, the collective, we shape together as this company that we work for, that really has a specific purpose. We have principles, we have beliefs, but we also have a purpose. And the company needs certain things from their employees, from their teams, to be successful as well. So we need to be very explicit about that. And yeah, that is something you need to do to make sure this model works.
Can you explain maybe a little bit about the beliefs that are connected to this model?
Yes, yeah. The beliefs for me are very much close to my heart, because I think this really is the basis of the trust that we see that we want to give to our employees and for me as well, and for you as well. So the beliefs are about agreeing and making the assumption that everybody that works within our company is a professional. It's a very simple statement, but we can trust the fact that once we've taken candidates through the recruitment process and seeing that there is a match between the company and the talent, the future employee, we may all assume that this person is a professional, which is great, because it means once the person is part of our organization, we don't need to mind each other with that anymore. It's a given. The second one is the assumption that all professionals have this intrinsic motivation that they want to be successful. I don't need to motivate you, Wouter. Your manager doesn't need to motivate you. You've got this motivation. That's why you fit perfectly within our organization, because you are a happy professional feeling the freedom to do things the way that fits you best in order to get to that collective good result. You also like to work within that collective, and you share the connectivity you have with everyone. So that's also because you find each other on that level of we are all motivated to be successful. It's also a great tool for managers because they don't have to think about that anymore. Your task as a manager is not longer, I need to motivate my team.
Sounds like a keen formula.
Yeah.
To be honest, it sounds too good to be true.
Yeah.
Success, yes, we've been successful. Has it been working? Yes, you explained how it's been working. You touched upon a couple of dependencies of what should happen to make it work. What about when it doesn't work?
Well, to be honest, in large, or if you look overarching, we see that it really works. And also making that assumption that we cater or we design our processes and policies for the majority that really feel connected to this way of working. The person that struggles with it will be a little bit more visible. The fact that we ask people to be responsible for their own well-being, as well as we are as a collective, because as you see, the third pillar of our belief is that we define success not only by great results, but also by your own well-being, which is a responsibility and not something you can leave to chance. Part of our success is also taking care of each other. So if things don't work well, sometimes, or actually every time, the first thing we want to do is engage in a conversation. What's going on? I don't pretend this is for everyone. If somebody doesn't feel comfortable in their role or there's something else going on, it will be evident. Like in the rest of the of the working world, there will be moments where there are issues to be solved, but we don't see it as something that we need to solve with a policy or a design. The model is designed for the large majority, for people who feel very much part of this way of working. So we will always consider that as an individual situation which we need to engage more.
Yeah. It's interesting to see that if it doesn't work for a person, it automatically comes to the surface.
Yes.
And I then think about what we mentioned in the World of Work Trend Report this year is like employers need to listen to the heartbeat of the organization. So
right.
In comes the true conversation, in comes a sincere listening. How can I help you, basically?
Right.
How can we make it work?
Yeah.
The audience, they want practicalities. We want examples. So we mentioned, you mentioned a couple of situations where people would have different working hours and so on. Mm-hmm. That maybe is the obvious. So
yeah.
Let's step into what we've experienced so far already with various examples throughout a different scope.
Yeah.
Can you name a few?
Absolutely. So let me also start with saying we didn't move from one situation into another. There was not like a clear cut. So things also slowly evolved. We grew into this, really. We did have the time, the luxury of the time, because everybody had to be at home and we had to be relying on each other and trust each other. But what we do see happening in the last couple of years, in the last two to 3 years, is that people indeed start with, hey, maybe I need the hour at lunchtime, I'll go walk the dog. A lot of new dogs were introduced into our top employers family. Or people that prefer to do sports during what usually would be working hours. But then also we noticed other things. People would feel the safety to ask for things they need to be successful. For example, the question, I would love to sit nearer to my family because I moved to a different country, to a different hub, because I had to be near to my office. Now I feel the need to be nearer to my family, and I would love to work for, say, a few months in the country that I come from, that I would love to be back at for a little bit, to feel more connected with the family, because there's a lot of things that can happen in that aspect as well. So what we saw was people moving or either on workations, where they would use vacations also to work separately. Our CEO is definitely one of the big, enthusiasts of that. And what it does, just a small sidestep, but what it does as well is what you do when you're on a workation, when you are on a holiday spot or in a spot where you also enjoy some time off, is you will immediately show the surrounding and say, listen, team, look where I am. Everybody will just connect to that and just wish you the best.
And also, not to mention the impact it has on the individual. Just being somewhere else, being in a more comfortable setting or a more beautiful setting every now and then instead of your home office or the regular office, it helps. We can't deny that.
Absolutely. No. It absolutely helps. And one person might be better at recognizing that for themselves than others. But that's why we also have the definition of success, that we need to look out for each other. If I see that you might need something different, engage in that conversation. We have some other fantastic examples as well. And I've asked my team, listen, what was your personal experience? And my team is very much in touch with all the things that happen because of this way of working, but also my team themselves. So I've been able to grow my team because now I can work with the best professionals in the organization that fit the best for the role that I have, because I don't need to look into the Amsterdam area, for example, anymore. So we have people moving to other parts of the country, from Paris to Bordeaux, for example, still be part of the Paris team, and at the same time use internal mobility and start to work with different headquarter teams, for example. So you're opening up the world as it is as well. Another example, and you do need to stop me because I will...
I will give you an example.
Yeah, you're going to give me one too. I can now look for the best talents also on the market everywhere in the world.
Yeah,
Be mindful.
Market
yeah,
is,
candidate market is very different. Well, also they really relate to the human-centric way of working. People really feel sense of relief that they don't need to fully change because or to fit within this organization. But there's lots of things that you have to organize. So it's not like an organic way of, oh, all of a sudden the world opens up, we can hire people everywhere. There's a lot of responsibility there. Apart from the whole, how do I organize this? And is my team up for that responsibility to take care and be mindful of everything that is necessary for an employee? But there's also the sense of belonging. If you are in a country and there's no team really around you, you have to, by design, make sure people are, connected, collaborating, sense of belonging. Yeah, it doesn't go by itself. It's not by chance.
I'm just thinking because we are aware that this is more applicable to blue collar than it would be for white collar. That's maybe a little bit obvious. That's so far the context we are in.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
that's maybe a little bit more clear. And also, although there is. You can express a more personal preference of where you want to work. It doesn't increase travel, right? So it's not that we are more frequently in an airplane or in a train visiting each other. That's not what it increased, especially not after COVID.
I don't think so. Simultaneously, we're also looking into obviously our footprint and our travel policies, and we really try to maintain that balance. But there is a balance to maintain in the sense that we do see that there is a need for people to meet face to face, and at the same time, we don't want to be overly active in traveling by plane, for example. So it's the thing that we ask of our people, which is also the basis of this whole model, is to use their common sense and use that responsibility wisely. But it's not something that we constantly need to control or check. So we do feel that people can make that decision. We're all part of the same planet in the end.
Which example, on an individual level or organizational level, which one stood out the most for you in the past year?
I think it's the ones where people are feel the freedom to move to a different country for a period of time. It can be to move nearer to family, but it can also be to explore the world. It can be to take some extra time off, for example. So those are the things that people really feel that their career is not in jeopardy because they make these different decisions that they would probably not make a few years ago. So that's the thing that really stood out to me. But I'm just very happy is a little superficial, but I'm very happy to see that people understand this and that they can make it applicable to themselves.
Yeah, that said, how I applied it to myself literally is like, I think a very important thing is, and that is in the process how you implemented it, is the acknowledgement of the person. Okay, now it's for me to make the call first.
Yeah.
For me to decide what balances what makes me happy, what I find important. So it's like the model starts. It says you, but it starts with me.
Yeah.
That's how you interpret it.
Yeah.
That's the most important. I was challenged, positively challenged. Okay, you've got this model now. Now I'm gonna I was already strong in this one aspect. So my example is literally on a Tuesday afternoon,
Yeah.
I get my kids from school.
Yeah.
And it's just that moment of happiness, seeing my kids, their smile on their face, it's just, Daddy, there's like, if I would be working 9 to 5 every day, I wouldn't see that moment. And I addressed it in the team, and I can make it work. I express like I will make up. It's only 45 minutes of like detour during the day, and I can make it a homework day, or I can travel back from Amsterdam to home. But it's only a 45-minute to an hour detour in my day, and I'll make it up in different times. But the awareness that everybody just gives the support, and it's like, yeah, okay, you block it in your agenda, it's okay. It might be a stupid detail, but the power of the approach is that if everybody would express that one thing that is important for them, but the value it has in my work week and the support I feel from my employer that I'm capable of, and not even thinking about workations, but I'm definitely gonna make that my second step. No, but this is it. I feel supported, I feel heard, and no questions asked, and that's not a negative thing, It's like people go, yeah, go ahead, and that's it. And it's in the detail, and it can be this small, and it can be that big. So if you're really running into a problem, then we approach it a little bit bigger.
Yeah, exactly. And I really think that the team is also happy for you to be out on the Thursday or Tuesday afternoon.
I so far, maybe not everybody expressed, but so far nobody got into a kind of complexity or frustration about, hey, he's not there. It's like,
Yeah,
so,
I remember the days before we embraced this way of working, is we would regularly get the question, hey, are you taking some time off? Are you having a flex or a part-time contract? Why are you leaving?
Yeah.
And that's something that I see less and less of. And we do cherish the time that we spending together. I feel, because there is the freedom to move around with your time. You might not always need it, but just the whole sense of that I trust you to make that call is fine. And even if you don't make up, because I even want to challenge you for that, why would you consider it as making up? That time is not reserved for work. That's something that you have.
Yeah, no, it is like if you would combine it, obviously, it's like traveling back on a different time that I would in the old days normally do, and yeah, there I do have availability at some point. It's not a biggie, but this is how I interpret it.
Yeah,
is I make sure that it doesn't come across as I'm only thinking about the Dutch word, but it's like I don't want to let it come across in a negative way. So like he's taking up so much time for his family that shouldn't.
Well, you would be worried about that, right? But the thing is, you're connected to this company, and you're really putting a lot of energy in here. There's no worry about any of the results or the performance. Then there shouldn't be any worry about when to spend your time on what. It's really about, does it work with your team? And then sometimes you even need the headspace to make sure you are more successful. In the end, it's about being successful, and it's not just about the results, but it's doing it in a good way. I also realize we are on a very wonderful flow as a company, so we are growing. We have big plans. We all are connected to our purpose. We've designed our values to connect our individual purpose to the company's purpose as well. So we are all feeling that we are on a beautiful path at the moment, and that also gives us a lot of energy. We have to make sure that we also keep that energy when things might be a little bit tougher. We've seen with COVID, we tried a lot of things to make sure people were doing well, but they weren't all successful. So now that things are going well, we really have to challenge ourselves to take that next step.
Yeah, and that's where the challenge is at as well, because each and every individual you need to onboard in that human-centric way of thinking. And although we are giving a lot of individual examples or how it is for the person, the biggest value of human-centric approach in an organization is to make the system, the whole design work, and then the collective of all these individual examples make a super positive contribution into. I'm pretty sure that at some point it will show up in the loyalty as well. That said, I'm pretty sure that the audience also needs to have the answer about the bottom line. So from a loyalty perspective, and I like to work here, it's like
that's great.
I'm convinced.
Yeah.
But now the CFO needs to be a little bit more convinced about the freedom we give to all these people.
Yeah.
Does it work for the bottom line?
Yes.
Can you tell already?
Yes, I can take a few metrics that will help us understand better. So first of all, because we're growing, we need a lot of talent. So we need to attract people. So first of all, if we don't have the people, we can't deliver on the results, or we can't deliver on the purpose, and we can't deliver on the value that we have for our clients. So we see that our recruiters experience the whole human-centric way of working as something that attracts talent. So we are finding the right people for the work that we have. So we want to have the right people delivering on that value for our customers. They have to be happy people as well. So one is the attracting of the talent, but also I need to have people that feel that their world of work is organized well and that is they're taken care of. I might not be certifying ourselves because for multiple reasons. First of all, we are if you look at the size of ourselves, we wouldn't even qualify. But I can't be anything but working towards that goal to be as good as our certified clients, or hopefully even better, because I want to prove that our purpose is something that we hold very dearly. And I can't work with people that don't feel that we all value that purpose really in our day-to-day. So it's not just something on paper. I think it's also in the trend report where it's the North Star. Mm-hmm. It's something that we truly believe in, and everything we do, every step that we take, we have to be mindful. Yeah. What does it mean for? So my strong belief is this is absolutely adding to the fact that people want to work here, that they're well taken care of, they feel they're taking care of each other as well, and therefore are able to deliver on that value for our clients. I also see there's not a lot of people leaving. We don't have an issue with people wanting to find a different path for their careers, which for us is an open conversation to have if there is something that we see that we could improve for people, but we might not be able to offer that to our employees ourselves. But we see people don't really want to leave. We really stress the fact that there is room for internal mobility and growth. And at the same time, we have 2 people that recently came back to work for us. Once they had left on their own initiative, but they came back to work for us because they really appreciate our culture and our way of working and the way we want to take care of each other. So.
And they definitely felt the nuance at the other employer of the human-centric approach.
I assume, yes. Yeah. We can ask, of course, but
I did in preparation for this one. You touched upon it also, but a couple of specific points that will be a challenge in the year ahead. You said we're growing as an organization. What else do you see as a challenge?
So one of the things I feel could be a little bit under pressure is the fact that we have to grow really fast. I really believe that the way we are currently recruiting people, being very mindful, taking the time to get to know people, not just what's your CV, what's your experience, what knowledge can you bring us, but what kind of person do you bring, what's the whole package. That takes a little bit more time, but that's a conscious decision. It means that we will do good hires because we want to, and we don't take any short corners there. So that's a big challenge, because I also feel the importance of making sure there's enough people to do the work, because otherwise people that are already part of the company will feel that work pressure. So that's a balance we really need to be mindful of. The other one, for me, is a little bit more obvious for myself, but also for the team. We need to find the right balance to formalize this way of working. At the beginning of our conversation, I said it's beautiful because it's simple, and therefore it also respects the complexity of life and the way we want to organize ourselves. And no situation is the same. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we appreciate the fact of formalizing people practices in the core, in the end, that is what we feel is important to improve the world of work. That's also valid for us. How to formalize something without killing the magic. So that's my biggest challenge. I want to make sure people get the right, the fair and comparable employee journey all around this company. And how can I make sure that people really get that?
That would be a nice phrase on top of your vision, bold steps of like how to without killing the magic.
Yes.
Before we wrap it up, I'm just gonna look at the audience. This is a time where we can plot in some Q&A. So you have the chat box. I can read it here as well. If you have your questions, start typing them and I'll keep track of it. I do need a pair of reading glasses, I think, but we'll manage. First, we've already got a question like, will the presentation also be shared? This video will definitely be up, and post-event you'll get an email with the recording, but you can definitely see it on our YouTube channel later on. So while we wait for people to submit their questions, if they do, question to you, think bold and brave and without any boundaries. What's the ultimate magical shape and form of a human-centric organization?
I think we have the core. We have the core. So it's not about changing the way we believe this should be working. I truly believe we figured that out. So we have the basis and the outline of what should work. The challenge really is on how to make that bigger, stronger, more predictable, and do certain things by design. If I can just give you another 2 examples of that latter part. So how to make that work by design. The North Star again. Everything we do is based on the fact that this human-centric way of working is something we truly believe in. That also meant something for our values. We had to reshape our values. We had a need to find more depth and complexity in our values. So we created 3 values that really need or ask for a conversation. What does it mean? What does it mean to you? We embrace the journey together. What does journey mean? What does together mean? We have inspire with purpose, for example, and the things that we really feel are important. So that complexity that you see in the human-centric way of working is also visible in the values that we have. But the most important thing is we left one space in our values. There's 3 values that we bring company-wide, but there's one that we leave open for you as an employee to think about what is your value and how can I connect my values to the company? How can I bring that sense of purpose and complete that set of 4 values? And we're right in the middle of that process. We currently did the first few workshops with our employees throughout the world. And we are seeing that people really need to think about it. Mm-hmm. And that proves that the human-centric way of working is working. Yeah,
it's working and it's getting started.
Yeah.
I'm just checking Eve. I've got 3 questions that have already were already there, but of which 2 were like great comments to wish us success. So I'm gonna wrap it up. First of all, thank you, Paola. Thank you for an insightful session and. You definitely delivered with purpose, and that's it. I can confirm, and I'm sure that resonated with the audience as well. Thank you, and let's continue this lovely mission we have. Next, we are connecting in, I think, around 20 minutes with our APAC region. We have SAP India about designing people experiences in the changing world of work. So similar context and definitely how they would approach this. Later on, we have TransUnion Africa, their approach to a hybrid and remote personalized employee experience. So again, we are touching the similar grounds, but it's definitely also a different topic, of course. And later on, we're connecting live to the United States, where our regional director, Trevor Boken, meets with NTT Data's VP of People and Organization, Kim Curley, for a talk about fostering a strong culture in a global organization. And that's only day 1. So do yourself a learning favor and register for more sessions. This is the opportunity to gain the most valuable insights. You might not visit it live or attend it live, but definitely watch the recording and make a couple of notes. and hope we all aim for a human-centric organization. We are sharing insights for a better world of work. Thank you for attending this session, and see you in one of the other ones online. Top Employer Inspire. Thank you.